Hi, my name is MacDonald, born at Regent Park. 1983, my mom was 16 years old. My dad was a troublemaker, went to prison, so I grew up with a single mom. There's a lot of abuse, a lot of trauma. When I was 12 or 13 years old, my stepbrother was drinking some beer and he offered it to me and I took it and I thought it was the most disgusting thing in the world and I never really drank it much after that. Later on, when I was 15, my friends were drinking and I started drinking with them to fit in. Alcohol started becoming something I enjoyed the taste of. I started smoking marijuana around the same time. 19 years old, I went to prison. I tried cocaine at the age of 29, and that's when I guess, began what you would call a toxic love affair with cocaine. There were certain parts of my life I never wanted to change, right? So at the age of 12 years old, I joined a gang. I trafficked in drugs, firearms. I never wanted to change the people, places, and things about my life. When I was first going through the system, I wasn't really doing drugs and alcohol. And I remember my lawyer always asking me, was this drug related? And it was like for trafficking drugs and stuff. And I was like, yeah, because I traffic drugs. He's like, well, are you a drug addict? I was like, no. And finally, 2017, I got arrested for shooting, discharged firearm with reckless intent, and I had possession of cocaine when I was arrested. And I remember when I came into jail, I was like sick because I'd been doing drugs for every day, nonstop, every day. And they're just like, that's okay. It's going to be all right, buddy. It's going to be all good. They just put me on the range and never came and checked up on me again. It's hell. There was a time when I didn't even know that I was addicted to drugs. I thought it was just something I was doing for fun until the time came when it was no longer fun. Every time I would get high, I'd be in a psychosis and I couldn't stop. And it was so scary not knowing why I couldn't stop. Knowing that even though I was so full of fear when I would go into psychosis that I would just keep putting the substances into my body. But yet, knowing that I wasn't going to be able to stop. Knowing that this was going to happen. I'm hoping it's going to be different this time. But in the back of my mind, I know that it's going to be the exact same. I would start thinking, I could beat it myself. I could stop. Why can't I stop? I've been able to do so many other things in my life. Why can't I stop this? It was defeating. 29 years old. I was released from the Don jail. I already had 2 daughters by that time, 2 different women. I was trafficking cocaine. I was doing cocaine probably on the weekends. Weekends became 4-day weekends and then 5-day weekends, week-long weekends. And then it never stopped. I got with a girl and she thought she was gonna fix me. We had another baby. We moved away, stayed out of jail for a while, disappeared for days on end, and then start disappearing for weeks. Then we got married because we thought that was gonna help. I went to rehab a couple times. Every time I went to rehab, they would always suggest that I do this 12-step fellowship. I would get a sponsor just to say I had a sponsor. I would never call them. I never did the steps. I never wanted to do any of that stuff. I didn't want to tell somebody, the inner workings of myself or the bad things that I'd done in my life because I was scared. I lived in fear all the time, right? Yeah, I don't think it was the treatment centers that didn't work. I think it was me that didn't want to do the work. So the 7th time, I had run out of all options. Before I went to rehab, I was living at my mom's house on her couch. And none of my friends wanted to be around me. And, it was either do it or die. Because I had suicidal ideations. I was thinking, where should I kill myself? I had a plan of what I was going to do. I just didn't know where I was going to do it. And I just had this moment of clarity where I was just like, what, maybe I should go back to rehab and just do whatever they said. I had someone suggest that I go to Alpha House. I'd been here before, relapsed while I lived here, and then I got incarcerated for a charge. Went back to rehab once I got released from jail, and someone suggested I apply back to Alpha House. I thought I'd never be able to get back in, but I applied anyways because I had nowhere else to go. As of now, I've been sober since November 4th, 2020. It was really good fellowship here, right? 2 guys every night would cook dinner. I made a lot of good friends here. So I wasn't used to taking direction from people. I just like to run the show. Being held accountable was key for me, right? It was one of the reasons that I signed up to come here and not to go to a private place. Being held accountable allowed me to become uncomfortable with my behavior and realize that it needed to change. And by changing that behavior, I became responsible. So I believe that was a really key thing in Alpha House. Also, they meet me where I was at. They weren't like, oh my God, Gary, you're so defiant, you gotta leave. It was like, you're defiant, we need you to stop being that way. What can we do to help you get away from that? And I was like, oh wow, I don't know, help me. And they were just willing to help me. That was really beneficial for me. It was just so inviting. It was just like, oh, you got a problem? How can I help you fix it? It was just so like solution focused here, and I love that. The counselors going through recovery was very important. Was very important to me. I've gone to other places where they just had book knowledge. That was really good too for what they gave me, for what I took out of it, but I didn't feel like they related to me and I didn't relate to them. So there was automatically a barrier right away. Coming in here knowing that the counselors have knowledge and they have lived experience as well, to me that's a huge selling point. You know, if I was having problems, I could go to the office, talk to the counselors. I really enjoyed that because they weren't just guys who had some book knowledge, they had some lived experience. I really enjoyed that part. And I could really relate to what they had to say. You know, I felt understood by them. My whole circle of friends has changed. I mean, I was a gang member, constantly in and out of jail. My new friends in recovery are people that go to 12-step fellowships. I'm currently employed at Alpha House. I'm an addictions counselor and the alumni coordinator here. Did my placement here. And then when I was working here, I realized that we didn't have any contact with our alumni unless they reached out to us. And so I've been doing that since July 2022. You know, a lot of people come to us with minimal life skills, minimal accountability, minimal responsibilities. A lot of the time, which is normal in addiction, is people have burned their lives to the ground. So what we do is we offer them a safe place to start rebuilding their life. And sometimes that looks like rebuilding it by learning how to take care of themselves, helping them build a treatment plan, helping them connect to the resources that they need outside of this house. The fact that I could be present in my family's life, that my children can call me and count on me to show up, that my mom can count on me to be there, and my mom doesn't have to go to bed wondering if I'm going to go to jail, prison, or die. That really makes me feel good. Going through treatment was great, but the experience when I came here kept me sober. Being able to have a place where I was accepted, where I was safe, and I was able to get my feet under myself, like on solid ground. So if anybody's struggling with addiction, just reach out.
What kind of dog do you have?
Boston Terrier Shih Tzu mix. It looks like he's a really ugly dog, but he's so cute. He's a year old. He's just a beautiful little guy, but he's really like, if you looked at him, you'd be like, oh man, what's wrong with that dog?